Nama Waphao Smout. The moon bled crimson across the sky, painting the mountains red where Linda, the warrior maiden, fought a pack of ravenous werewolves. Suddenly, a terrifying roar echoed through the forest. It was the cruel and powerful vampire master seeking to steal Linda's ancestral magic, a power capable of destroying all vampires. But there, amidst the confusion, stood Jason, the newly turned vampire, torn between his duty and the burgeoning love he felt for Linda. Will Jason manage to protect Linda from the werewolves and his own master? The battle was only beginning, and a terrible choice loomed. The forest whispered dark secrets under the moon's crimson glow. The trees, like giants with twisted arms, seemed silent observers of the brutal struggle unfolding. Linda, her black hair swirling like an owl's wings, fought with the strength of 10 women. Her bow and arrow, a legacy from her ancestors, was an extension of her body, each arrow launched with the precision of a hawk. Werewolves, creatures of sharp claws and monstrous teeth, surrounded her like hungry wolves around helpless prey. But Linda was not helpless. An ancient power, dormant in her native blood, awakened, fueled by the mortal urgency of the situation. She felt the force of nature coursing through her veins, the strength of her ancestors protecting her. Suddenly, a roar cut through the air, a sound so deep and menacing that even the werewolves recoiled for a moment. It was Malcor, the vampire master, a sinister and imposing figure with scarlet eyes that glowed like hellfire. His power was so palpable that the leaves on the trees trembled in his presence. He craved Linda's secret, an ancestral power capable of extinguishing the vampire race, a power she did not yet fully understand. Malcor had come to steal Linda's power. Jason, the newly turned vampire, watched with a conflicted heart. His loyalty to his master was an invisible chain binding him, but the sight of Linda fighting so bravely, her wild beauty radiating even amidst the chaos, ignited a flame of love in his chest he never thought possible. He knew protecting Linda would mean defying Malcor, and the risk of disobedience could cost him his life. Yet, with each growl of the werewolves and each arrow fired by Linda, his desire to protect her grew. The fight was fierce. Linda moved with incredible agility, dodging the werewolves' attacks. Her nascent but potent native power shone in her eyes, fueling her determination. A werewolf leapt to attack her, but Linda, with supernatural strength, knocked it down with a precise blow. The air filled with the scent of blood, the cry of the wounded werewolf mingling with the furious growls of the others. Jason watched, caught between his duty and his heart. He could feel the battle within him, Malcor's voice in his thoughts, demanding his loyalty, and the image of Linda, fighting bravely, calling him to help her. Every moment, he fought against his own vampiric instincts, the urge to kill and drain the life force of his enemies, but Jason realized that, unlike his master, his vampire blood still retained a spark of his humanity. His teeth ached, an insatiable thirst for blood overwhelmed him, but he managed to control himself, thanks to a flicker of humanity. Malcor, impatient, approached. His gaze fell upon Linda, who, despite the struggle, kept her eyes firm and full of determination. She felt the sinister presence of the vampire master, a dark energy invading her senses. Linda knew she faced a battle not only against werewolves, but against a much greater power, a power that threatened not only her life, but her entire people. She needed to find the power dormant in her soul, the ancestral strength that her ancestors had protected for generations. And Jason the vampire stood at a crossroads, needing to decide between his master and the love that was beginning to bloom in his heart, a love that could forever change the destiny of both of them. The fate of Linda, the fate of Jason, and the fate of the forest itself seemed to hang in the balance, awaiting a crucial decision. The heavy air of blood and fear enveloped Linda like a cloak. Each of her movements was a deadly dance between the fury of the werewolves and the cunning of her ancestors. She felt the ancestral power growing within her, a whirlwind of energy that strengthened her, made her faster, stronger. But the power was still untamed, a raging river threatening to overflow, inundating her with a force she did not yet know how to fully control. A werewolf, larger and fiercer than the others, charged at her, roaring with fury. Linda dodged the attack with a fluid, almost supernatural movement, and with a cry that echoed through the forest, she struck it with the power that seethed in her veins. The werewolf fell, paralyzed, petrified by Linda's ancestral power, its animalistic strength silenced. Malcor watched with an expression of growing impatience. He hadn't expected such resistance from a simple Native American woman, and the sudden strength she displayed intrigued him. The power she possessed was the key to his vampire race's immortality, and he would not let anything stop him from obtaining it. He advanced, his steps slow but determined, each footstep like a hammer blow striking the ground. The aura of malice he exuded was so intense that it seemed to suffocate the forest itself. Jason, torn between loyalty to Malcor and his growing passion for Linda, felt his blood boil. Malcor's strength was overwhelming, an oppressive weight that held him captive. But the image of Linda facing the fury of those creatures propelled something within him. He felt the call to battle, a need to protect the woman who, in such a short time, had stolen his heart. It was a cruel internal conflict, a battle between obedience and love, between duty and compassion. He fought against the darkness of his new vampiric nature, a whirlwind of primal desires that pulled him towards cruelty, but a fragment of his humanity, a remnant of his former self, still resisted. A wounded werewolf, taking advantage of Linda's distraction, attempted a sneak attack from behind. With surprising speed, Jason threw himself in front of Linda, interposing himself between her and the attack. He used his supernatural strength to hurl the werewolf against a tree, saving Linda's life with an act of disobedience. Malcor was furious, his eyes blazing. Jason, despite his fear, felt a surge of courage and determination. He chose Linda. He chose love. Malcor roared, his voice a thunderclap that shook the forest. He ordered Jason to attack Linda to hand over the ancestral secret. But Jason refused, his loyalty to his master slowly crumbling before the overwhelming force of his love for Linda. Linda, stunned by Jason's intervention, perceived the internal conflict he was facing. Her eyes met his, and she saw the battle he was waging, the war between obedience and compassion. She realized that Jason, despite his dark past, possessed a heart. Jason's decision triggered an inevitable confrontation. Malcor, enraged by his servant's disobedience, lunged at Jason, his vampire fist glowing with infernal fury. The forest became a stage for the fight, a battlefield between master and servant, between obedience and love. Linda, understanding the situation, prepared to fight alongside Jason against Malcor's immeasurable power. The ancestral power she had discovered within herself began to manifest with force, and she knew it would be a bloody and challenging battle. But alongside Jason, she would face any danger. The battle for love and survival had only just begun, and the shadows of the forest held the secrets of an uncertain future. The moon bled, a red eye in the black sky, a silent witness to the intensifying battle. Linda, the warrior maiden, felt the ancestral power pulsing in her veins like a river of incandescent lava. She fought with the fury of a jaguar, each movement precise and deadly. But the werewolves were numerous, their sharp teeth and claws a constant threat. Her body ached, but the strength of her ancestors propelled her, giving her superhuman strength. A desperate cry escaped her lips when a werewolf almost knocked her down, but at the last moment, a body interposed itself. It was Jason. Jason, the newly turned vampire, faced his master, Malcor, in a desperate struggle. Malcor, a monster of fury and power, attacked with the force of 1,000 storms, his fist delivering blows that made the trees tremble. Jason, despite being an inexperienced vampire, fought with unexpected courage, driven by the love he felt for Linda. Each blow from Malcor was a mortal threat, but Jason, with the help of his superhuman power, managed to dodge, using his speed and agility to defend himself. Blood flowed from his wounds, but he did not retreat. He fought not only for his life, but for Linda's life, for the future of their love. Linda, seeing Jason fight against the mighty Malcor, felt a surge of admiration and love. Her determination was renewed. She could not stand idly by while her beloved fought for his life. With a roar that echoed through the forest, she threw herself into the fight. Her ancestral power exploded, a raw force that pushed werewolves and trees away. The force was so overwhelming, so powerful, that even Malcor was surprised. Linda was now not just a warrior maiden, but a force of nature, a hurricane of unleashed ancestral power. The battle reached its climax. Malcor, furious at the double opposition, increased his strength, his blows becoming more violent. Jason, wounded and tired, still found the strength to fight, his determination unwavering. Linda, with her ancestral power, fought with unimaginable fury, her arrows like lightning bolts, her blows like storms. She and Jason fought together, as one, combining their powers to defend themselves. The fate of both, the fate of the forest, seemed to rest in their hands. The air became heavy, laden with blood, sweat, and adrenaline. Every moment, danger was imminent. Malcor, surrounded by the two lovers united by the fight, felt for the first time in centuries true fear. Linda's power, combined with Jason's courage, was a force he had never encountered. He never imagined that a simple newly turned vampire and a Native American woman with ancestral powers could unite and create a force capable of facing him. The strength of true love, unexpected, was causing a dark fear in the vampire master's heart, a fear stronger than any supernatural power. Suddenly, Linda had a glimpse, a vision of her ancestors, who showed her the magical secret they had so carefully protected. It was a power of healing, a power of light, capable of repelling Malcor's darkness. With a cry, she channeled this force. A bright white light exploded around her, banishing the darkness of the forest, revealing to Malcor the fragility of his dark power in the face of genuine strength, a love that surpasses death itself. The light blinded Malcor, and his fury was broken. Linda and Jason, now together, united by love and ancestral power, managed to defeat Malcor and free the forest from the vampiric threat. The bloody battle was over, but the love story between Linda and Jason was just beginning. The future still held many challenges, but now united by love, they would face any adversity. Victory was sweet, the forest breathed a sigh of relief, and love finally reigned over blood. The dazzling light emanating from Linda's ancestral power blinded Malcor for a moment that Jason used to deliver a precise blow. The vampire master, stunned, stumbled backward, his aura of dark power dissipating like smoke in the wind. Linda, feeling the weight of victory, let out a long sigh, the ancestral power diminishing in intensity, but the satisfaction was immense. The air of the forest, previously heavy and charged with fear, was now clean, purified by the energy that had emanated from her. Jason, staggering towards her, was exhausted, wounded, but his eyes shone with a love that transcended darkness. They embraced, their bodies trembling, the bond between them sealed by shared danger and victory won. But the tranquility was short-lived. The moment they embraced, a violent tremor shook the earth. Trees split in half, the ground opened in deep fissures, and an intense, malevolent emerald-green glow began to rise from the subsoil, radiating an energy as powerful as Malcor's, perhaps even more terrifying. From the center of the earth emerged a gigantic, slender, and grotesque figure with shimmering green skin, eyes like incandescent embers, and long claws as sharp as knives. The creature, of terrifying proportions, let out a roar that made the sky itself tremble, a sound of pure horror and power. It was something completely new, something that not even Malcor in his long existence had ever seen. Jason and Linda separated, frightened by the monstrous apparition, the love that united them forgotten for a second, overcome by fear of the unknown. Malcor, fallen and injured, watched the creature with the same expression of pure terror that was reflected in the eyes of Jason and Linda. He seemed to know more than he wanted to reveal, his scarlet eyes fixed on the creature emerging from hell. A heavy, deadly silence hung over the forest, broken only by the terrifying sound of the newly arrived creature's breath, a creature that made it clear that the battle was far from over. The fight against Malcor had only been the beginning of a much larger conflict. A war against a force of darkness so powerful and ancient that even the most powerful vampires trembled with fear. And the forest, once the stage for a battle between vampires, werewolves, and Native Americans, now prepared for an even more terrible fight. A fight for survival against a threat no one could have foreseen, a threat that came from the depths of hell. Will Jason and Linda, united by love, be able to face this new and terrible threat? What does this creature want? And what secret does Malcor keep silent, observing the new danger with a mixture of fear and hope? The moon bled again, but now a green, greenish, and bright blood that promised an even more deadly fight. The quest for love had become a battle for survival against an unknown threat, a threat that was only just beginning.